G'day and welcome back to Stitch Up, and of course the Studios pack in Planet Coaster, and we're in Sunset Studios. That's right, I've remembered the name of the studio. So Sunset Studios is coming along, and what we've done is we've, as you can see from the previous episode, we've gone ahead and really start the entertainment side of the park. Just behind this new log flume, which we created in the last episode, just behind that's going to be, the proposed Ratchet and Clank world, and that should be an interesting one. I'm just letting that one. I'm just having some thoughts on that at the moment. But in this episode, we'll be fleshing out the coaster station and some of the elements for this main first attraction or first major attraction, the log flume. So I've started to build what will essentially be. Look, I'm not building it for the purpose of being a weenie, but it will end up, just due to its size, this mountain will become a great dividing mountain that will separate the parts of the park and really break up the eye line for when you look across one part of the park. Maybe from the entrance hotel, you might look over to this mountain and you could one day see the rocket center, the space center with the tall rockets, the Saturn V rockets and things and the space shuttle and things that are proposed for that area. So you might see them poking out the top or behind it, or you might see some activity, but this mountain will essentially break up that eye line, and so you can no longer look straight across a flat park, which I think is going to be great. So we're starting off in the temple. This will be a temple build. What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to actually incorporate the adventure pack into the Studios pack. So this ride is essentially going to be it's a bit like it's a replacement for the SFX coaster, which we built and demolished and no longer proceeded with. And in its place, we've put in this log flume. Remembering that the log flume has a few elements. It does start off it goes up a fairly big lift hill, and now it goes into the mountain we see behind us. But then as it comes out into those small drops, it does go very slow, and it is a visual. So this is, apart from the fast drops, this is a nice slow ride. It's got the drops as the excitement, but what I want to do is have a lot of special effects inside. And things like rolling balls, very Indiana Jones. I want snakes that'll jump out at people, and we'll incorporate the snake theme shortly into this station. But I want things like animatronics to really take place in here, and I want to use some of the human animatronics as well. I want it to show that this is a temple that it should tell a story, and I don't know what the story just is at the moment. I know at the moment I'm thinking something to do with animatronic snakes. This is not an Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull build. This is going to be my own Stitch Up creation. So but I will take elements from the other parks. What I've started to do here is just dive straight into the station build, and I've actually started to use, because I really struggle with things that aren't on the grid. And I need to just get in there and just start practicing. So this is me. You're seeing me practice, and just some of these buildings are the first times I've used any of these blocks. In fact, I haven't used any. I tried to build a pyramid out of these blocks, and the fact that they weren't on a grid and I couldn't line it up perfectly, I kind of had a bit of a tantrum, threw it all down and said, oh, forget it, I'm not going to do it. But of course, I'm having a look here and I'm seeing that random shapes just pop up, and I have an overall goal of what I want this area to look like. And as I add to it throughout this episode, you'll see that sort of goal come ahead. Or go ahead. Now the station is I want it to be an open temple, lots of natural light coming through. I want the station, it's in no way waterproof. The log flume is an outdoor ride. Part of it will be inside a proposed pyramid area, but for the station, the queue lines, the exit lines, even the path that goes around it, there's going to be overhanging suspended gardens and things like that. I love the idea of some sort of suspended gardens, but what I want to do is just give it a real outdoor sort of feel. We'll see shortly as well. There's another idea that I've come up with to put in the front of this whole ride, and this will eventuate throughout this episode as well. So I've started to create some pillars here. I've using a duplication tool, and I really hope you guys are enjoying my speed builds now. I think my game has improved. My creation videos are a little more interesting now because I'm able to do 2 hours worth of building, speed it up 4 times, and I get a nice half an hour episode out of it. So I'm very aware that some of it, I'm hoping it's not too boring, and I'm hoping you get to see a bit of the detail in the background. I've left the park open, I believe, at this stage, so we can see some people walk around. I do like a bit of scale. They won't go on the ride because I think the ride's in testing phase at the moment, and we'll leave it like that. But I do like the idea that this ride is being built while the park is open, and that other parts of the park are successfully operating. I'm just playing around with this top casing of this station. If you have any suggestions on what this log flume could be, then let me know. Leave it in the comments. I'd be keen to give this a fairly unique name, this particular ride. And I don't think anything to do with Stitch Up or even Stitch, anything like that. I think we just need these rides. I think we can start to name things in the park and move away from the Stitch Up. Even the name of the park, Sunset, is it Sunset Studios? Yeah, I keep calling it Sunset Park, but I must remember, first and foremost, it is a studios park, and I suppose this ride would be part of the intellectual property of the studio. So maybe they made a movie about Romancing the Stone or something like that, and a movie like Romancing the Stone, and then this would be the ride that would come out of it. Just playing around here with some fencing ideas. I was thinking, do I put a fence in? And then I thought, no, I'll just go ahead and use these 2 metre by 4 metre, 1 metre by 4 metre pieces, and I sort of pop a few of those in. We also change, if you can see at the moment, I've got the wooden planks, and I do like the wooden planks leading up to, so in the queue line and in the exit lines. I think it's a nice uniformity. It did look nice while I was on the station. It does look good, but it doesn't fit in with what I'm doing with the theme here. So you'll see in a little while, I do end up changing that and having a stucco, and a stucco in gold I end up going with, actually not in gold, in like a brown, and that will all become a little bit more evident as we go on. Some other ideas for this particular ride, I think we've got, so we've got water by the nature of the ride. I do decide that I want to surround the area with some lush green tropicalness, and it does start to channel my previous park, the adventure park. But I think that's always going to be the case. I must remember with the adventure park, it was all about it was about quick gains, as Jonty would say. It was quick gains, and that's how it sort of ended up being. And I remember going into this park, the studios park, thinking, I want 90% of what I do in this to be building and actually using building pieces and scenery pieces and detailing, as opposed to placing down trees. So if you look at it, my mandate or goal I've set for myself would be about 10% could be mass, just plopping down trees and tropical trees. And in fact, in this ride, I do end up going with a bit of a tropical theme. Actually, you can see here, I'm just starting off with the main character of this ride will be this snake. bear with me here. All these pieces get deleted shortly, and we change the orientation of the snake. So the idea is that this boarding station has been taken over by this snake, and he's just sitting there letting people go on this ride. But he is the guardian of this ride, and in fact, all he is a statue of a snake god. But what's happened is real snakes have actually come in there, and you'll see I put some slithering snakes in. So I actually just orientate his body slightly differently. I had him facing towards the right with his head there, but I realised that really you're getting onto it. You're not. This is no surprise. If I was to face him the other way, you'd finish the ride, but you would have already seen him when you got on, and it just didn't make any sense. So I thought, let's have the statue sort of hanging over the start of the ride, and I played with the idea of a bit of fire and thought, ooh, it's a bit too much dragony, really. So I end up just going with some slithering snakes, and we make we put one real snake underneath the snake head, and then we actually put down lots of slithering snakes in there. So that all comes up pretty good. I really hope you're enjoying that. Then some other elements I've putting into this ride will be some water, and I want to incorporate the splashdown lake into some water, and we'll see that eventuate pretty shortly. Now, and then the other exciting element is going to be a volcano. So I like the idea of having the really big mountain behind, but then I don't necessarily want to make that a big volcano. I think that's too big to be a volcano. I think it might be a dormant volcano, and it could change the shape of it so it does have more of a caldera at the top and a bit of a crater and all this sort of stuff. But and actually, now I'm thinking about that. That idea actually is coming along pretty nicely. It could be a volcano that rumbles. But what we end up having just in front of the station to the right-hand side is a small erupting volcano. And I think the money shot for the erupting volcano is going to be at the very end of the log flume. As they come around this bend here, they go under the paths that get onto the ride, and then they'll come up and see this new volcano, which will just start to be put together in this episode. So I'm actually just going to stop talking for a little bit. I'm going to put on some music, and I hope you enjoy that. I'll catch up with you towards the end of the video, and we'll make sure we do a complete ride through once we've done some creation here. Enjoy the rest of the building, and I will see you soon.
Everybody's tried to tell me that I'm crazy. I should just believe that what they say is true. 'Cause I've been trying not to move these mountains lately. Maybe the only thing that's standing in my way is you. But I can't breathe unless you're with me.
Okay, so we'll actually just do a little walkthrough now of the this building and the new ride. I haven't thought of a name as just yet for the new ride, but yeah, we can sort of see. We can start to see that it's coming along a bit. We've got mixing elements of water, tropical theme, wooden walkways, and then lots of temples. And I like the idea that it's an open temple. So yeah, we're just, I think it's going to come along. We'll add to it. We're not trying to give away all the good stuff just yet because, you know, the snake is there, as I discussed, snakes on the station, but there's going to be lots of other moving special effects in the actual ride. So yeah, we'll just do a quick ride of that now. We'll do a on ride and we'll close the ride first, and then I'm going to test it, and I'm going to take a ride camera. So here we go. And we're on the very first one. Might just oh yes, I've managed to get myself out of that. Let me see if we can't get back into the ride camera. There we go. So we've got a drop that's now inside. It's now inside the. It's a small drop, but it's now inside the main mountain, and we'll come up with a name for that main mountain. And then, so I imagine this part of the ride's going to have lots of moving stuff. This is where we're going to probably move into. I mean, we're going over the top of the station building at the moment, but once we get into the regular part, the ride is slow because there's going to be a whole lot of effects. There's going to be the ball rolling across and letting these guys pass and all this sort of stuff. So this is all going to be relatively heavy on special effects, and a lot of this is going to sit inside temple, possibly a fairly big pyramid at some point as well, and I intend to do some really detailed sections inside of the pyramid. I want like a golden hall where, you know, everything on the ground below it is completely is very sort of shiny and made of gold, and then sections where they're going over lava and lots of steam. So just very Indiana Jones, very tribute to Indiana Jones. I'm definitely having a look here and seeing that I'm going to need to. I thought I had a separation of 15 seconds. I think these guys are really close to each other, but I've noticed the third one hasn't really come on now. So it's interesting, the spacing. Although, hang on, that will be correct. Or will it? Yeah, so I might move this to something like 20 seconds because it's interesting how these two are so close to each other. I'll have to have a play with that, but I like this spacing. The spacing between cars 2 and 3, spacing between cars 1 and 2 is just not enough. I want them to be able to not really see the other one as see how this one's moved into a new section and another one is just moving into that section. So whatever effects this person's looking at, these people have already just been through it. Whereas here, you would see the back of that one, so the back of that boat. So we don't want that. They're beginning their big climb. Can we go? Yeah, we've got a nice little climb happening. And again, I think the pyramid would look good. We've got sort of 3 aspects here. We've got a main mountain, we've got a little volcano, and then we've got a lovely, what will be a lovely sort of pyramid or inside a huge sort of temple structure. And I want that to be big and impressive. It's going to be one of those ones that I'm going to build quite big. I'm going to probably have to use fairly big temple blocks. I'm thinking about maybe getting the 4x4x4 blocks and making those into using sort of 8 of those or 12 of those to get into a big sort of cube or rectangle or something, or cuboid or whatever it is. And then yeah, that will be a lovely little like I'll use those to make a like a stepped pyramid, I think is what I'm going to be looking for. So they do head into a little bit of a another bit of an indoor section here. This is mainly because I don't want these guys seeing the drop they're about to get. So they come into here. We'll be able to really light this. Again, we're looking at from a boat behind, looking at a boat. This won't happen, but I like that you know, we can have the lava effect happening, and we can even have yeah, we can look at whether or not we want to bring lava up this high, or have, you know, and here they'll get a view of other parts of the park. I guess the park borders around here, so they'll see other lands. They would have seen Ratchet and Clank Land as they were going up the lovely lift hill and stuff, and then they'll go this lovely drop here. So this is quite nice. I realised that the pool here is sitting well above the pool there, but I don't think I can do anything about that at the moment. What I might do is have a whole lot of rocks covering it, and see if I can get a whole lot of rocks onto it. I want to cover most of this. In fact, I want all this will be embedded into rocks. There's a lot of building that's going to go on. There will be building that will be happening off screen. It'll be filling in multiple rocks. But my theory is that I'll show a bit of it and then I'll finish it off screen when it's getting repetitive. And of course this last bit here as well, just this part here sort of frames it all. They get to sort of, as they're coming along, it's a visual. Their friends who are waiting for them will see them. They'll be all wet. You know, they'll see people queuing up for the ride. And at this point, you know, this is going to be a lovely big visual part for them. They're coming up to seeing they think the ride's ended, but then they get this lovely bit of lava, and they get to really view that lava point. So that's pretty good. I think that's good. I am aware that the path and the ride interact here quite a bit. I think we'll be fixing that and making it so that the lava is not so. I think you want to go on the ride to see the lava at its best, and I don't think that I want that to be observed by the people that are walking past. And then we're just heading back into the station. So yeah, so look, I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a creative episode, building the station building, which is, I'd say, maybe 50% complete. I think once we start to rough it up and put some broken bits in, and the way I'm going to build it, as I said, is going to be building it like this and then stripping away parts to put in parts that are chipped away and broken. That's how I want my symmetry, because I want it to look like it was a symmetrical building before it sort of fell apart and stuff. And I'm just noticing that these pillars here aren't connecting, these two, so we'll go in and just fix that in just a second as well. So join us in the next episode. Hit the like button, please hit the subscribe, tell your friends, leave a comment, all of the above, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.